Hello, book lovers. I'm Peg, the Book Prize Addict, back with another big book prize that's going to be going on for actually all summer and has a lot of great books on it. I am back in my temporary winter home in South Carolina, and it's spring down here. Yay! So I thought I'd dress appropriately. Now, it's wonderful in the spring here and in the winter, but all of a sudden, probably in the next month, all of a sudden it's going to get too hot. So you will see me immediately back in my real permanent home in Pennsylvania, where all my books are. I kind of miss them. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the Hugo Awards, probably the biggest and most well-known science fiction and fantasy awards. And it's kind of how a lot of people get started liking that genre, is by following the Hugo Awards. I'll tell you a little bit about them. There are actually quite a few booktubers who have talked about the Hugo Awards, and they even had a live show during the picking of the shortlist for it. So you can, if you're interested, you can certainly find many other booktubers talking about the Hugo Awards. But I thought I'd kind of start from scratch here in case you hadn't really known too much about it. The Hugo Awards are sponsored by the World Science Fiction Society. And they hold a convention, huge convention, every year in a different place in the world. Last year was in Helsinki, and this year in August is going to be in San Jose, California. And again, I think that some of these sci-fi big booktubers are going and meeting up. And last year they actually made vlogs about it. It was real fun to see. The Hugo Awards are named after a science fiction author called Hugo Gernsback, who founded the pioneering sci-fi magazine called Amazing Stories. Now, many of the famous sci-fi writers of old got started by writing in amazing stories, and there are collector's editions out there that you can find of this. And this Hugo Gernsback is actually called one of the fathers of the science fiction genre. Now, the Hugo has been awarded for since 1953, and actually this convention will be the 76th convention. The first one was held in Philadelphia in 1953, and they have always used for the winners a model of a rocket ship, and they have on their website, which I'm going to give a link to and gives all kind of great information, they have the different trophies throughout the years. Now here's the rocket ship, or what people thought looked like a rocket ship, of the 1953, the very first one, and it has been updated and changed quite a bit. Here is the rocket ship rendition in the last year that was used for the 2017 trophy. No wood in this one, but all kind of different plastics, etc., showing the update of the trophy. Okay, so the contestants, you might say, in this award, actually, I should say there's I think almost 20 different awards given at the convention on their awards night. You need to look through the link because it's so interesting. They have a award for best sci-fi movie, best TV series, all kind of different, best magazine, all kind of different ones. And it's interesting just to look through them and kind of get an idea of what's out there. But the one I'm going to talk about, as usual, is the best novel category, which is usually the most important one and presented last. Let's see. Okay, it's chosen, the list is chosen by people who have signed up to go to the convention, and also they're called voting members. And also you can pay something to be just a voting member, not go to the convention. And there was much ado earlier in the spring here where people were trying to nominate. They can nominate anything they want for the 20 different categories, and there were several booktubers who were thinking about what they wanted to nominate. And so the nominations in the first place are by people into science fiction, but science fiction that is popular and well suited to a beginning science fiction reader or somebody who's just getting into it. So this is why I really like it, and how I got started on liking science fiction was by reading the Hugo list. So anyway, when they go to nominate, there are no rules that they have to stick by as to what science fiction is, what fantasy is. They can nominate whatever they think. And that's another reason I've stated before. I think they should just call it all speculative fiction, because it's all melding together so much between science fiction, fantasy, dystopian, etc. That and it's all good, and it's in its own way. That I think they should just call it speculative fiction, as I said before. But anyway, so they nominate, and the top ones that are top nominated out of the, I suppose, thousands that vote are on their short list. They just come out with a short list. Now, this one, they do something special, retrospective award each year. And this year it's from 1943. I guess they think there were some good ones there, but also on the link I'm giving you, you can read the different awards that they will give retrospectively to things published in 1943. And if you're into the science of history of science fiction, that would be great to run through. So, okay. So as I said, this will be chosen in August in San Jose at their awards, and I'm pretty sure they'll have a live stream from it. If not, there will certainly be some vlogs from booktubers on it on the big night. Okay, so I'm going to just talk about briefly the ones that are up for Best Novel, Best Sci-Fi or Fantasy Novel Award, and I've actually read all but one of these, and they're all just fantastic, good ones that are both popular and literary. I would say they're well chosen this year to suit people who prefer a little more literary character to the genre. Okay, so first we have The Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi. Now, he has written a lot. He's a very experienced sci-fi writer, and he has won awards for his series called The Old Man's War. There are quite a few in that series. This is starting a new series called the Interdependency series, and it involves what they call the flow in the universe that allows people to get easily from one planet to the other with the help of the flow, but the flow can change, so suddenly they're cut off from planets that they're used to working closely with and have to remake their world with other planets. And it's really set itself up well for a multi-book series, I think. Okay, next we have New York 2140 by Kim Stanley Robinson, who's also quite an experienced sci-fi writer. His really best one so far being the Red, Blue, and Green Mars trilogy. Is very well known and won some of these prizes. This is a dystopian, which I really like if they're done well. It's New York when it's been flooded by climate change, and the world building is great in this. It kind of sets it up like Venice. There's a lot done on the waterways through New York, and you can recognize the buildings that are still standing, but their bottom floors are a boatyard, and it's just well done by like that. And there's quite a few characters in this that interact, and some don't. Several stories going on in the canals and the watery ways of New York City. Okay, next we have Provenance by Ann Leckie. I've talked about this before. Ann Leckie won many awards for her trilogy, the Ancillary Trilogy, that she published right before this, which were very literary and posed some problems getting into. I thought you had to really stick with them. But then this is a standalone in the same world, Provenance. And I've said before, I think this is a great place to start because it's much more approachable. It's a great story. But if you read this, you would be well equipped to read the trilogy that she actually wrote before this. So I think this might even have a good chance to be a winner. Okay, next we have Raven Stratagem. Now this is another, and it's a second in a series, but I think it's more approachable than the first book in the series, which was called Nine Fox Gambit. This deals with a lot of space war. You can see the spaceships there, but it also has some very good characters and some kind of mind-boggling plots where people are really spaceships and the mind of the spaceship interacts with the people. And but again, this second one, Raven Stratagem, appealed a lot more to me because it was more approachable. The characters began to make sense and their unusual abilities. And I almost think you could read this without having read Nine Fox Gambit. So, but they are, and I imagine there's going to be more in the series. This is called the Machineries of Empire series. Okay, next we have Six Wakes by Muir Lafferty. This is the one I have not read, but I really want to. It actually deals with a bunch of characters that wake up in a spaceship and they have been cloned, which is not unusual, but when they wake up, they realize there's been a murder on the spaceship, so they kind of have to go into detective mode. And this is very well rated. So as I said, I haven't read this, but I'm really looking forward to reading it. And last, we have The Stone Sky. Now, this is the third in a trilogy, and the first two have won Hugos in the last few years. The first one was the fifth season, and the second one was The Obelisk Gate, which I believe won last year. So this is the third in the series, and I read the first two. I haven't read this one, but I would assume that you probably need to read the first two before you read this. And from reports I heard, it's just as good. I don't know what the chances are of a third in a series that have already won 2 Hugos to win, but people that have read it said it's a great wrap up to the series, and I'm sure many of you have read this because this seems to be really almost a bestseller. Okay, so that's it. As I said, the winners will be announced in August, late August sometime. I think I encourage you to take a look at the link I've given you. They have a great web page where they have all the history of the Hugos and pictures of the prizes and other information. If you're at all interested in science fiction, you'll really enjoy that. So, back soon. Bye.